If your long-term desires are very different from each other, both of you will have a terrible time. One of you or both of you would have to constantly compromise on what your real goals are, what your deep dreams are. You would constantly feel dissatisfied. How to choose the right partner, or we can ask how to avoid choosing the wrong partner. Basically, how to do the assessment phase with a new candidate the right way. Today we are going to have the following sections. First section, why attraction is not a good criterion. Second section, how to prevent getting attached to the wrong person before a good assessment. Third, the most important, the actual criteria for assessing if the partner is right for you. And finally, in the fourth section, some bonus principles. So let's begin. So finding the partner seems so difficult. People you're attracted to turn out to be shitty people. People who you find very nice, they turn out to be boring for you. People who are ambitious and talented, they won't give you enough time. People who give time to you, you don't even want it from them. Everyone seems to have something, but then something else is missing. The perfect person is already committed. So how do you make a decision in such confusion? How do you find the right partner? So let's start with the section number 1. Why attraction is actually not a good criterion to decide whether the person is right for you or not. See, attraction is basically instinct based, very primal instinct based. When you go by such primal attraction, you just tend to select people who are rich, good looking, tall, thin, high status, a little out of your league. Basically people who are found desirable in the society. But all of these are actually pretty bad criteria to choose a partner. Because the question is, what are you optimizing for in your relationship? What do you really want? Do you want someone who you can look cool with? Or do you want a lifelong partner? Do you want somebody who can just sweep you off your feet for like 3 days or 4 days or maybe a few weeks? Or a reliable, predictable partner who you can have long-term happiness with? I mean, ideally, of course, everybody would want both. But what if you had to make a choice? Which would you pick? What is your priority? People tend to reject very good candidates just because they are not attracted to them as much. Oh, he is not my type. She doesn't feel right to me. These feeling, these type, these gut instinct based decisions are pretty terrible ones. Because the qualities that make up for a good partner are actually very different from tall, rich, good looking, high status, etc. And we will be discussing the right qualities later in this video. But just remember that your type, that who you are naturally attracted to is pretty random. Your type is actually not evolved to take into account all the necessary factors that are necessary in a relationship. In fact, your type may actually include some toxic elements too. Like you are into people who are unavailable, even people who are committed. You become more into somebody who rejects you. Maybe you like the liar. Maybe you like the person who's a challenge for you, like who's not that easy to tame. Maybe you just want somebody who is like your father or your mother because they are familiar to you. The good old Freudian theory. So your type can really take you into very wrong places as well. And another reason why attraction is actually not a good criterion is because of the halo effect. If you're attracted to somebody, let's say based on their looks or their status or their richness, then you have this halo effect, which means that other things about them also start to seem really good to you. I mean, your mind just starts to assume as if this is the right person, the right partner, the right friend, the right father, the person has good character, the person is probably smart or capable, and other desirable traits. And there's clearly no correlation between those things. So basically, if you're attracted to somebody, it's possible that your mind could be putting that person on a pedestal, and that again can make you choose the wrong person. Money and looks have no direct relationship with personality traits or relationship skills. And what you want in your partner is the right personality traits and good relationship skills. So this is why the first point, this first section is very, very important, which is do not rely on your gut feelings, your attraction, your type to choose a long-term partner. Don't let your emotions take those decisions. What you need is your rational brain, your calculative side of the brain to take over and take a better decision. We by now have enough knowledge about what makes for an amazing relationship. Go by that knowledge. Section number 2, how to prevent getting attached to the wrong person before a good assessment. Here the main idea is that when you are with somebody new, you actually have a very small window of assessment. You really don't have much time, as I'll explain very soon. So in this section, I'm going to give you some basic principles of human psychology, or let's say relationship psychology, which will ultimately help your rational side get stronger. I'll be using the word attachment and connection interchangeably. Here both of them mean the closeness, the warmth, the intimacy that you feel with the person. So first thing, connection tends tends to sneak upon you. Basically, sometimes you don't even realize and you get really attached to somebody. I mean, you're meeting somebody regularly, you're just talking to them on the phone, and if somebody asks you, okay, how connected are you to this person? Maybe you'll say, okay, we've been talking for like what, 3 to 4 months? Okay, I'm at a level 5. Alright. But let's say at that moment, for some reason, the relationship breaks, the partner stops talking to you, or you decide to stop talking to the partner. That's when you realize, oh wait, I am in trouble. Like even if 2-3 days pass by and you don't talk to that person, you're like, what am I missing? I want to talk again. I want to meet that person again. You didn't even realize, but you got connected. The thing is that continued interaction with somebody does build up this emotional connection, and you only truly realize that once you have to leave the person. It's like smoking. When people start smoking, they're like, okay, I just smoke like once a week, okay? And they just smoke once a week for even a month, and suddenly their body starts to need it. And then if somebody asks them to stop smoking, they can't. It's already a bit addictive. Of course, it will get worse with time, but even in very initial phase, the addiction just sneaks up on you. So connection with somebody can be like cigarette, and this is why you have to be very, very careful. But careful why? That brings us to the second point. Once you get attached to somebody, your assessment phase is pretty much over. Once you get emotionally connected to somebody, your rational brain actually loses a lot of power over you. Because now, even if you find out that, okay, this person has this red flag, this toxic habit, this person doesn't seem to be right for me, you still would not be able to leave the person because now you're connected. Basically, when you're attached to somebody, your tolerance for bad things actually goes up. And every day that passes, the breakup becomes more and more difficult. And that's why even after huge fights, people still come back together. They still patch up. And actually, my analogy with cigarette earlier is biologically correct too. Like research has shown that when you have a connection with somebody, that activates your reward areas in the brain, the same areas which get activated during addiction. So connection is a drug. And if somebody takes away your drug, the person, you get withdrawals and you want the drug back. And another reason why leaving is so difficult is because the areas in your brain which feel the pain also get activated. So your brain is almost interpreting it like physical pain. So not only you want more of it, you want more of the drug. If you don't get it, you will feel some pain also. And if you stay too long with the wrong person, let's say you spend 1 year or 2 years or 3 years with that person, now the breakup gets even more difficult because now you're feeling invested. I've spent 3 years with this person. Can I just let it all go down the drain? How can I leave the person now? Even if you have seen numerous red flags with that person, leaving becomes very difficult because now it seems like a failure. Now your friends and family probably know about this person, and if you leave now, am I a failure? What will people think? That I can't even find a good partner? Like, was I so dumb that I didn't realize that they were not right for me in last 3 years? So you just stay on. So basically you have actually a very small window of assessment before the connection happens. So here are a few recommendations. First, go as slow as you can initially, probably even in the first 1 year. I mean, at least go slow with your labels. Don't be very quick to declare yourself girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. I mean, of course, don't go so slow that the other person runs away, but you just become the force for slowing it down. Put the car in the lower gear. Second, just have the mindset for checking and looking at the options before you fully commit. Like if you were to buy a house, you would probably look at 10-15 different houses before you make a final decision. So get into that mindset that I have to check for some important criteria before I make a final decision. I'll be sharing the criteria in the next section. Remember that connection is actually very easy and an ordinary thing. So you don't have to rush. You don't have to start feeling that, oh, if this person goes away, then what will I do? I may not find somebody else. No, you will. Do not hurry too much out of desperation. Next, do listen to feedback of other people about this person. Like maybe if your friends or family or somebody else is saying something bad about this person, don't just ignore it. Don't just call them haters. Just pay attention, see if it's actually true. Dig deeper. Finally, remember that people take time in showing their ugly or crazy sides. So do you, by the way, because we don't go all crazy in the first 1 month. It takes some time. As we get more and more comfortable with the person, as we feel more and more attached and secure, we let out the crazies. We become more and more ourselves, which means both good and bad comes out. For example, initially the person was acting very cool that yes, I'm completely okay with your opposite sex friends. Of course, you should have friends. Go out, have fun. But 6 months into a relationship, now that you're girlfriend and boyfriend, no, you can't go. No, I don't feel secure. How can you do this? They start throwing tantrums. They start staying upset whenever you meet your opposite sex friends. So they had to wait 6 months before they could show their crazy side. And this is why the longer you hold, the better, because you'd be able to witness more and more red flags before getting too attached. So the summary of this section would be assessment first, attachment bit later. Now let's come to the third section, which is the most important one and which is probably why you clicked on this video, which is what is the assessment criteria. Before I give you the criteria, let me tell you the approach that you should take with the assessment criteria. Please remember that while choosing a good partner, avoiding red flags is way more important than collecting green flags. So while you are in the assessment phase, your main task is to rule out red flags. And these red flags are not your personal preference based red flags. No, these red flags are kind of universal in nature. They have been discovered by the relationship science. Like for example, your personal red flags could be if somebody has had sex before, or somebody drinks, somebody smokes, someone eats non-vegetarian food, meat, someone's different caste or religion. Of course, you're entitled to have your preferences, but please remember that these red flags are not real red flags. I mean, not real red flags for the relationship science. So don't give them too much importance, or don't act like, oh, just because somebody does not drink or does not eat meat or is from the same caste or religion, somehow they will be a better partner. Not at all. So the basic approach is that don't look for some high peaks in your partner. Like for example, he's an amazing athlete, he's super rich, or he's just always super nice and he gives me a lot of attention. I mean, you can have one or two nice peaks where your partner can stand out from the rest of the crowd, and that may really make you feel, oh, this is the right partner, but that's the wrong approach. What you really need to make sure is that your partner can actually avoid some major red flags. Like your partner needs to have some passing marks in multiple fundamental subjects, because if they don't, that is a red flag. So now that you understand the approach that we are taking, let's really get into the criteria. I have divided criteria into two major categories. The first category is relationship outcome level. Second category is very high importance traits for a good relationship. In total, I would be giving you 9 criteria, 3 in category 1, 6 in category 2. And what you need to assess is passing marks in as many criteria as possible. So let's start with the relationship outcome level category. The 3 criteria are positive, synergy of dreams and desires, and the negative. So the first one, positive, simply means how much positivity there is in the relationship. Now this is the absolute core of a relationship, because this literally defines the bonding, the closeness, the attachment. Like how much intimacy do you feel with the person, how good of a friend they are to you, how much enjoyment do you have just spending time with them, just talking to them, how much you enjoy doing things together. Now you would say, of course this is obvious, right? Like why would I even choose somebody if I didn't have that? But there are people who go into relationships despite the absence of a lot of positivity. This happens many times in arranged marriages, where you have really no evidence of how much positivity there can be, where you don't even get enough time to actually build a relationship or a friendship with the person, and you just take the leap. You just hope that it will be fun. You just hope it will be amazing. But what if it's not? See, the positivity is like the fuel for your relationship, because when things start to get tough, this is what will keep you going. This positivity is the buffer that stops you from breaking up and leaving the person. This is the drug. This is the reward. So if you don't even have enough positivity, is that even a relationship? And I understand this positivity will decline with time, but again, I'm talking about passing marks here. Basically, the thought of spending time with that person should not give you tears. Second criteria, synergy of dreams and desires. We can take the analogy of a company. Like you should look at your life with that person as if both of you are going to run a company together. To run a good company, you need an alignment of mission, the vision. You need a lot of cooperation between the team members. You need some good capability in the team members to be able to take good decisions and act on them also. So the question is, how well would you work with your partner as a team? How aligned are both of you? Because there are so many things that you will have to do together with your partner. Run a household, share so many duties, maintain a social life, have children, parenting, managing finances, travel together, have fun together, take care of each other in sickness, entertain guests, etc., etc., etc. Basically, if your long-term desires are very different from each other, both of you will have a terrible time. One of you or both of you would have to constantly compromise on what your real goals are, what your deep dreams are. You would constantly feel dissatisfied. Now, of course, both of you are allowed to have individual goals, because not all goals will align, because both of you are different people. You have different personalities, but you must have enough of an alignment in the joint living part. At least under the umbrella of relationship, there must be coherence in your missions. If one person just wants to get rich at all costs and the other person cares more about community service, they may start hating each other very soon. So to make the right decision, start asking as many questions as you can to each other. Ask long-term questions, short-term questions, middle-term questions. What do you want here? What do you want to do in that scenario? What do you want to do in this scenario? You should both be completely honest with each other and see if there is an alignment here or not. Again, if you don't get passing marks here, it is a red flag. Next criteria is the negative. According to research, the number one cause, the biggest cause for breaking up or deterioration of relationships is high levels of negativity and conflict. So the question is, how do conflicts go between you two? And sometimes you have to wait a little long in the relationship during assessment to actually run into situations which can lead to conflicts, because initially it's all lovey-dovey, it's all the honeymoon phase, but when you get into some real things, when some real feelings are also involved, when you start to expect things from each other, that's where conflicts can start to happen. And you have to see how well are both of you managing conflict, because conflicts are in a way test of character and test of the relationship, like what happens. And two major things in conflict resolution are, how both of you are managing your emotions and how are you actually resolving the problem. So if you have a partner who has terrible emotional regulation, meaning a partner who gets super aggressive, angry and very attacking, then that could lead to a lot of pain in your relationship. So if your partner during heated moments just shouts at you, just says nasty things, mean things, just blames you, attacks your whole personality, these are big red flags. And in terms of resolution, most of the conflicts are actually not resolved, but just because they are not doesn't mean they cannot be. And for good conflict resolution, you need some basic traits. Both of you should be able to actually accept mistakes, listen to the other side, give their view the right importance, and ultimately be willing to compromise a little bit. See, if after each conflict you get to some resolution, some agreement, your relationship actually keeps getting stronger and stronger, and with time the conflicts also go down. But if the conflicts are not being resolved, if they are just brushed under the rug, if you're just ignoring them, then the relationship is technically the same or getting weaker. With time, the negativity will still build up, but there is no actual conflict resolution. And that's what happens in many relationships, because let's say you have a big conflict at the night, you don't even talk about it, nothing is resolved, but you go to sleep. By tomorrow morning, your emotions would have kind of subsided. Now you're feeling calmer, the heat of the moment is gone, and now you don't even feel like talking about the issue. You're like, okay, why bring it up again? Because in your mind you're thinking, if I talk about it again, it'll lead to another fight, and you don't want that. So what you do is you just avoid talking about it altogether. And if that's a pattern in your relationship, that's terrible. So basically, high levels of negative emotions and inability to resolve things would be huge red flags. Now let's come to the second category, which is high importance traits for a good relationship. These are like building blocks of any love relationship, some of them in general relationships also. And I've seen, not just in research, but in my personal experience as a counselor, that when any of these is not present, it can lead to disastrous results. So the first thing that you need from your partner is that they should give you equality of status, which is equal vote in everything technically. And this can also be tested during conflict resolution, like are they actually giving you an equal status or are they just dominating you? Another thing could be, are they applying rules and standards to both of you equally, or are they just being hypocrites, which is all the rules are just for you and they can do whatever they want. See, basically equality of status is literally the foundation for all morality. Like if I consider you equal, I will treat your feelings as equal to mine, I will treat your wishes as equal to mine, I will treat you the same way I would like to be treated by others. All moral behavior originates from this equality of status. So your partner must give you an equal status in the relationship. Second criteria is respect. This respect is also tested during conflict resolution, but it can be tested in other times too. Like, is your partner actually proud of you? Do they really respect you? How do they talk about you in front of other people? Relationship really comes down to how you really treat each other. And this is why respect is an absolute fundamental. If you have a partner who's just constantly disrespecting you, putting you down, treating you inferior, just run away. No matter how amazing they are otherwise, if they cannot treat you with respect, it is a deal breaker. Next point, high priority for relationship and you. Where does your partner place you and this relationship in their life? Is it like their third, fourth, fifth priority, or is it among the top ones? Don't be with somebody who's putting you in a lower priority, because this priority ultimately determines how much time, energy or emotion they will put into this relationship. There are people who give their career, their own family, their friends way more attention than they would give their partners, and that sure is a recipe for a disastrous relationship. Because see, a relationship really builds on what? How much attention you can give each other. That's also like a fundamental building block of closeness. And why would somebody pay attention to you if they don't treat you as a priority? So for a good long-term partner, they must have having a relationship, building a bond with a partner, and even having a family life among their top priorities. Don't settle for anything less. Next one is of course loyalty or monogamy. If you are looking for a life partner, they must have the values of of being loyal to one person? Are they up for that contract? Will they be able to stay in appropriate boundaries when in relationship with you? Once they are committed to you, can they stop flirting? Can they stop talking to their ex? Can they resist the urge to cheat? Sadly, cheating is actually pretty common in this society. I don't think I have to tell you how destructive cheating is for any relationship. But how do you find out if your partner will cheat or not? Well, you can't. There is no perfect way, but you can get some indications. You have to ask them about their past. What have they done with their past relationships? You have to see how they interact with the opposite sex. You can ask them questions just directly about different scenarios, different situations, like what will you do in that situation? How would you act? You can literally talk to them about the concept of monogamy. Like, does it even make sense to them? And if they say yes, I'll be monogamous, yes, I'll always be loyal, ask them why. Why would you? Really ask their reasons. The more reasons they can give, the more secure you can be. Again, there is no perfect guarantee despite their best answers, but that's the best you can do. And remember, the moment you see some inappropriate behaviors in this context, just run away. Trust me, you don't want to be cheated on. That's one of the worst things to experience in life. Next point is commitment. Now again, it's like a buzzword now, but it really matters. Is your partner really committed to you, to this relationship for the whole life? And why does that long-term commitment matter? First of all, that's what you're looking for, right? You want a partner for life. Are they committed for the project? And strong commitment actually gives you security. Once you know that no matter what happens, that person will be there for me, you're able to relax. You're actually able to bond with them without all the anxiety. So look for a person who talks about no exit. I know this one is very difficult to assess during the assessment phase because technically even you are not committed for life to this person. You are still assessing, but you just need to find out whether that's a value in that person. Like, how does that person think? And one way to find out is what happens when things go rough. Like, let's say in your first year, whenever you fight, is that person simply trying to just run away? Do they just keep talking about breakup? Do they keep threatening to leave? If yes, that again is a red flag. Ideally, you want somebody who has some tolerance for conflicts, who can be in it for the longer term. And the last one for today is honesty and transparency. In general, you want a partner who's really straightforward with you. And if you find out that they are just lying about silly things, they are giving silly excuses to your questions, just leave. You do not want to deal with a persistent liar. You spend the rest of your life investigating when are they speaking the truth, when are they lying. You don't want to be in that position. You're there to become a husband or wife, not a detective. And you will have ample opportunities to find this out in your day-to-day interactions. Honesty really is a fundamental trait for a good relationship. This is how you know who you're dealing with, what you are dealing with. Finally, let's come to the last section, some bonus principles. First one, now that you know all these criteria, do not let go of them just because you found somebody. According to research by Dr. Samantha Joel, many people just forget their deal breakers the moment they have somebody to go out on a date with. Like 70% of singles actually went out on a date with somebody who they knew had 2 deal breakers in them. So basically, hold your criteria close to your heart. Don't just forget about it just because there's somebody shiny right in front of you. Next one, in the long run, the recipe for a successful relationship is both of you would have to make it work. So the best you can do is you can avoid some disastrous choices and then focus on making it work, because no matter who you find, no matter how amazing they are, you will still run into a lot of problems, a lot of conflicts, a lot of difficult times. And that's where you will have to learn a lot of new things, new relationship skills to make it work. So that part is inevitable. So don't think you can just pick the perfect partner right out of the gate and it will be just a happily ever after. That doesn't work. So the summary is avoid a disastrous choice and make it work with somebody who's good enough. And last point, during the assessment phase, just stay ready to leave at the first sign of some major toxicity. You should probably keep reminding yourself every day as you're seeing this person, yes, I'm liking this person a lot, but I'm ready to leave if I see some red flags. Yes, I'm liking this person a lot, but I'm ready to leave if I see some red flags. Just say this to yourself like a mantra every day. If you do all of that, hopefully you'll find the right person or avoid the wrong person. And if you want to watch more videos on relationship, I have created a playlist. You can watch it here. Link is also in the description. Thanks for listening. Shridhar Life School is a team of psychologists who specialize in counseling. If you're going through very difficult times or you want to achieve higher well-being, we offer one-on-one counseling for individuals, couples, parents, and their children. To book sessions, go to our website shridharlifeschool.com.